Radhe Radhe. In my talk last week, I shed light on the topic of why worship God. And I explained that every individual inherently aspires for one and one thing alone in life. And that thing is happiness. I also explained the science behind this reality. That every individual soul is an eternal part of God. God is bliss personified, and being a part and parcel of God, every individual soul naturally seeks bliss. In fact, no living being can deviate from this goal, even if they were to try for countless ages. Nevertheless, the astonishing thing is that despite our incessant efforts over the course of unlimited, infinite lifetimes, we have not yet attained that happiness or that bliss. The reason, as I explained, is that we have not yet understood what bliss is, where is it to be found, and how is it to be attained. In today's talk, I am going to shed light on the topic of what is true happiness. What is true happiness? Now, happiness is the one and only thing every individual, every living being desires. आनंद पाने की गोविंद राधे जीव में नित्य आकांक्षा बता दे. Radha Govind Geet. It is innate, inherent within every individual to desire, to expect perfect happiness. And yet, there is such variation and variety found everywhere else in this world. There are 8.4 million forms that a soul can reincarnate into, and they are all unique. Some reside in water, some in the air, and some on the earth. Some are born from a womb, some from eggs, some from moisture, while others from the earth. Out of approximately 7.6 billion humans on earth today, not even 2 have the same features or identical fingerprints. Isn't that astonishing? Regardless of this fact, all embodied beings desire only happiness. Now you might wonder why that is so. Have we never experienced happiness, you might think? Of course you have. Yes, indeed. We experience it from our mother, father, spouse, etc. We experience it from sense objects around us. We saw something with our eyes and felt happy. We heard something with our ears and felt happy. We tasted something and felt happy. This is our daily experience in life. And it is an undeniable fact. Our scriptures and great masters, however, tell us that this happiness has 2 major drawbacks. It has 2 major defects. Firstly, it is limited. There is always a greater happiness beyond our current happiness or experience, and when you become aware of it, your current level of happiness ends. For example, a person gets a motorcycle and while riding it, he feels happy. When a car passes him and its tire hits a puddle of water, throwing mud all over him, he thinks, what is the use of this motorcycle? If only I had a car. Now the initial joy of owning a motorcycle has come to an end. Our experience is that this happens in every area of happiness. This is our experience in every walk of life. When we see happiness we consider better than our own, our current happiness ends. So what we actually desire is unlimited. A happiness beyond which there's no greater happiness. In other words, we expect the ultimate experience of what we call happiness. Limitations are against our nature. Secondly, the happiness we desire should always remain. On the contrary, what we experience as happiness in our life is always fleeting and it's diminishing. Worldly happiness steadily decreases and eventually ends altogether. Take another example. A mother's son is missing and she is in a state of great distress. Her anxiety causes her to be awake all night. Finally, her son was located and returned to her. She embraces her child with great joy. She hugs him a second time, but now her happiness was reduced somewhat. A third hug produced less happiness, and by the fourth, she says, "My child, now go outside and play. I have work to do." Why does the happiness reduce? The very thing that was once a source of happiness has now become a source of unhappiness? Isn't that interesting? The answer is that what we actually desire and endeavor for at every step of our life is not limited, it is unlimited. We expect unlimited, unending happiness that can remain forever. That is the kind of happiness that we chase in our life on a daily basis, even though we may not realize this fact. So in essence, every living being, from an ant, a tiny little ant, to the Creator, Brahma, all desire happiness. And the reason is that each and every one of us, each and every living being, is a part of God. And God is the embodiment of unlimited, everlasting happiness. I will leave you with these thoughts. Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki jai, Shrimat Yugal Sarkar ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri